Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a most difficult time for me and the rest of the Eyewitness News staff, everyone here connected with Channel 13. It is with sadness and shock that I tell you of the unexpected death of Channel 13 sports director Randy Blair. Randy was only about 32 years of age. RB, as we affectionately called him in the newsroom, was playing in a benefit basketball game with the Channel 13 basketball team when he suddenly collapsed. He was pronounced dead of a heart attack shortly after 9 tonight at Good Samaritan Hospital. Randy came to Baltimore and Channel 13 back in 1978 as the weekend sports reporter and became sports editor of the station in 1980. He is survived by his wife, Margie, and a son, Billy, age 6. The family lives in Ellicott City. Again, Randy Blair, dead at the age of 32, and all of a sudden, everything else seems kind of unimportant to me. Randy was so young, and so full of life, and it's just the shock, and I don't know what else to say. This has not been a good period of time for steelworkers in the Baltimore area, and tonight, for many, the situation grows even worse. Thousands of laid-off Bethlehem steelworkers here will not receive supplementary unemployment benefits this month. They'll have to wait until there is more money in the company's sub-fund, which has been depleted by the large number of laid-off workers. And January may be no better. For some steel workers like Keith Brooks, who's been out of work for 13 months, it means being pushed to the wall.
I personally have run out of my unemployment benefits a few weeks ago. Now, with no sub-pay coming in at all, I'm literally without an income. What that means is that I'm becoming desperate. I would say that I'm totally without any income at this point. I would say I have about 6 weeks worth of bills that I can pay.
And then what?
And then, well, I'm going to be applying for welfare.
For Brooks and others like him, it'll mean possible retraining for other jobs. Henry Coline, president of the Baltimore area AFL-CIO, underlined that when he said that many of the 16,000 unemployed steel, automobile, and shipyard workers here will never be rehired.
Of those 16,000 people, the very most are going to go back to work is 3,000 to 4,000. No matter how good it gets, because steel is retooling to match the imports and the foreign competition. The robots are coming in the auto industry, they're mechanizing, and the ship industry has just gone to hell.
The union leader says that while retraining is one possible answer, the federal government has withdrawn money for such programs. Coline also challenged the state's latest unemployment rate of 7.7%, saying it does not include the vast number of people who have just given up looking for a job. Volkswagen of America is closing temporarily its only plant in the U.S. at Westmoreland, Pennsylvania. 3,500 auto workers from that plant will be laid off, and Volkswagen doesn't know how many will be recalled. The plant will close January 24th and reopen February 7th. The closing is blamed on the continued weakness of the small and diesel car markets. Thousands of hopeful laborers waited overnight for a shot at a job in Oklahoma at the Goodyear tire plant there. The company announced it would take applications for jobs this morning, so hundreds waited through the night to be the first in line. Goodyear did take the applications, only to update their job files, though. With a faltering economy, it's doubtful that they'll be hiring soon, but there's always that chance. Tonight, Maryland is experiencing some positive effects as the result of the economic crunch. More tourists in Maryland, especially in Baltimore. Sandy Hillman, director of Promotion and Tourism in Baltimore, says about 20 million people flocked to the Inner Harbor last year, putting Baltimore on the map.
Several years ago, very few people came here as a tourist destination, and now we're hosting probably 20-some million tourists a year in Baltimore, and there is a lot to do. There's a lot to do in one particular area, the Inner Harbor. It's comfortable, it's affordable, and it's within easy drive time of a very condensed portion of the population, and that all bodes well for Baltimore and Baltimore tourism.
The Inner Harbor is expected to draw even more people this year. Ironically, Baltimore tourism growth comes at a time when neighboring Washington, D.C. suffered its worst decline in years. That glorious vacation resort of Hawaii has turned into a volcano site in the Pacific. For the past week, the volcano of Kilauea has been spewing ash into the air. Hawaiian police have urged residents around the islands to leave, but they won't because they fear their homes will be looted. They say they'll wait until the lava comes before they go. The fire, which has raged for 2 days in Newark, New Jersey, is dying down tonight. The fire erupted at a Texaco fuel plant when an explosion killed 1 man and injured more than 20 others. Newark fire officials say the fire may have started after fumes from gasoline overflowing from 1 tank spread through the area. Texaco officials say they'll begin an investigation after the fire is completely out. Trouble is far from over for Louisiana flood victims. Overnight, more rain fell in parts of the state as the Ouachita River remained at a record crest of 69 feet. Today, even more families moved to higher ground. Here in Baltimore, Rich Shannon continues to collect food and clothing for flood victims. This week, a new shipment will go to Louisiana. If you would like to donate to the flood victims, call 242-2833. That number again, 242-2833. When we return, Dave Bryan will tell you why truck drivers are fuming mad. And the king of rock and roll would have been 48 today. And Baltimoreans remember.
They used to call me a health nut. Now I'm the neighborhood expert. Because I read the list of ingredients before I buy any food. Even those fancy technical words like sodium caseinate, mono and diglycerides. I check out what those words mean before I buy.
Me too. I want to know what I'm feeding my family.
That's right. And here's a good way to find out. 150 ingredients are explained in this report from Prevention magazine. You can't buy it, but you can get it free just for trying Prevention, a magazine I was brought up on. And today, with all we're learning about natural ways to get healthy and stay healthy, there's more in prevention than ever. For example, articles on the natural way to control high blood pressure, cutting down your chances of getting heart disease, fighting hay fever with diet and exercise, nutrition for healthier skin, and what to do about headaches and backaches.
Is it my aching back?
Every issue has over a dozen articles like these in practical, down-to-earth language. You know, over 2 million people subscribe to Prevention. It's from Rodale Press, and it's America's largest-selling health magazine. Prevention tries to help you take care of yourself today. That's a lot better than trying to repair the damage tomorrow. Call now and get a whole year of Prevention for just $11.97 and the special report free. 150 ingredients explained. Now you can find out what those technical words really mean and decide for yourself which ingredients you can live with and live without. You'll want to take this report with you every time you go shopping.
So call toll-free 1-800-228-3600 and get 12 monthly issues of Prevention for just $11.97 and the free report. You save over $6 off the cover price, and you'll be billed later. Remember, the report is free, and so is the call. So call now, 1-800-228-3600.
Tonight, local truckers are fighting mad about new gasoline and highway taxes. Dave Bryan tells us they're threatening to pull their rigs over and shut them down tight.
Tony Cassio used to work for General Motors. Then the pink slips came down, the layoffs. He turned to trucking and bought his own rig. Now he's getting that sinking feeling again in the pit of his stomach. Tony says the new gasoline tax bill signed into law by President Reagan last week will bring his new business to a grinding halt, clamping new taxes on gasoline, truck road usage, the retail sale of new trucks, even large tires for tractor trailers. That has Tony and his friends in the business pretty mad.
In the 10 years I've been in it, we've had rough times, but there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, look, I don't see anything. It's just black.
I'll go out of business.
No question about it?
No question about it. Can't operate in the red.
You just can't make ends meet?
Just can't make ends meet.
But how about us independents? How about the people that bring you everything that you've got? Came by a truck. And they just constantly are burdening us with these things. It's an expense that we cannot absorb.
The truckers say they know the new taxes are already signed into law, and there's nothing they can do about it, except to join the call for a national independent truckers strike on January 31st and hope the message gets across. Along the Baltimore Beltway with Instant Eye, Dave Bryan, Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, David. And tonight, women correctional officers are also angry about their working conditions. Today, the union representing women guards, AFSCME, met with those officers to find out if it is legal for women officers to be barred from certain areas of the prisons. The issue was raised after a suit was filed by a prisoner seeking to keep the women officers out of the jail. The court case could be decided sometime next month. Tonight, a 22-year-old Washington man is under arrest for the shooting of a city D.C. detective living in Annapolis. Charles Davenport was arrested last night on an auto theft charge, but police say Davenport is being held in connection with the shooting of Detective Donald Bennett outside his Annapolis home Wednesday. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher paid a surprise visit to the Falkland Islands today. In a gesture of support for the residents there, Thatcher visited residents of the island chain that Britain recaptured from Argentina. The trip was kept secret until the very end due to security reasons. Tonight, rock and roll great Elvis Presley would have been 48 years old. Harrendale Mall paid special tribute to the king with a ceremony there and a sale to raise money for medical research. Well, when we come back, Ron Riley will tell you whether the warm weather will ward off that snow that we were supposed to have or not. And if the weather does turn cold, you'll want to know how to weatherize your home for a little more warmth. We'll tell you how to learn in just a moment.
Sure, you can save on gas when you pay with cash at Amoco. But if you prefer the convenience of a credit card, Amoco now gives you a choice of using 6 major credit cards. You can use your Amoco credit card, Visa, Torch Club, MasterCard, MultiCard, or Diners Club. What an easy way to get Amoco's quality gasolines. You expect more from Amoco, and the convenience of cash or credit is one way you get it.
These days, if you want a really fresh chicken, you can grow your own. Or you can buy Holly Farms fresh chicken. Holly Farms grade A chickens are wrapped and sealed right where we grow them, and everyone gets a guaranteed freshness date, so you know how fresh it is when you buy it, and taste how tender, juicy, and fresh it is when you eat it. So if you want a really fresh chicken, you can buy Holly Farms, or you can grow your own. Holly Farms. If you want a fresher chicken, you'll have to grow your own.
It's the music of America, turn it on, play it loud. It's the favorite sound in Baltimore, turn it up, play it proud. It's the music you grew up with, living in your heart and soul. Play FM 93 in Baltimore, 'cause WPOC plays it country. WPOC plays it country.
Well, earlier today we had that awful word, or at least awful for some, snow in the forecast, and I don't know if it's changed or not. Has it, Ron?
Okay. Rough one here tonight, Frank, I'll tell you. Yes, as far as the weather goes, it really has been in the forecast all day long that we were going to get some snow, but it looks like as the hours diminish toward nightfall now and toward early morning hours, that threat really goes down to about 0. And it looks like perhaps, if anything, out in the suburbs we may get some slippery roads in the morning. We'll tell you all about it. Here are the current statistics. On Television Hill, it's now 36, 66% humidity. Winds are north at 4. Barometer's rising very slowly. Here come the tides. Our next high tide will be at 2:50 in the morning. Low tide at 9:38. And sunrise, 7:26, sunset at 5:02. Well, it's a chilly evening tonight. Temperatures in the city may go down as low as 28 degrees. 28 to 32 degrees anyway will be the low. Here in Waverly, it's no precipitation at all tonight, even though we had some in the forecast for a while. And it looks like we're going to kind of go away unscathed, at least for the next few hours. 45 was Baltimore's high today. And around the area, let's look at the state map and give you an indication of just what some of the other temperatures are. The cold spot in the viewing area is 29 degrees currently in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It's 34 in Richmond, 38 in Norfolk, and 35 in Salisbury, 39 in D.C., with the northerly winds coming in 8 to 15 miles an hour. Now, high pressure is over us, and it's what's dominating the area. I can actually show you that area of high pressure on Sky Track. It's back here in eastern Canada, and it's driving down this way, northerly winds, and it's keeping the water, the precipitation suppressed. Most of the rain is in this area down here of Tennessee and Kentucky, and as if they needed it again, they got another 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch down Louisiana and Mississippi. Anyway, the high pressure is keeping that at bay, so it doesn't look like we're going to be getting any rain tonight or during the wee hours of the morning. However, as the high pressure goes out to sea, we'll begin to get an easterly flow of winds, and as we do, well, consequently, we'll be getting more and more moisture coming in and filling up the atmosphere, be coming in off sea. And where does it have to go? It has to come down. Now, if it gets around early in the morning, the moisture that is, we may have some slippery roads with the cold temperatures out in some of the suburb areas, maybe on the bridges, some sleet perhaps. However, it looks more than anything that we'll get a mixture of drizzle and rain during the day. By tomorrow afternoon, frontal system will be here, low pressure still down here, dumping water on them, and a mixture of rain or drizzle will stick with us pretty much most of the day, setting us up for a very cool, rainy Monday, and behind it some high pressure, which may clear things out by Tuesday. Here's the 5-day forecast from AccuWeather. So for tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, it's going to be 40 degrees tonight, 28 to 35 the low. And tomorrow we'll have probably a mixture of drizzle and rain in the morning. If it's cold enough, there may be some slippery spots, not discounting the fact that we could have a little white stuff dusting the ground in some areas, but it's fairly remote. The odds are against it at this point. 40 degrees, a little too warm. Southerly flow on Monday, it'll be 47. Tuesday, clouds, chance of showers. Wednesday, then it'll clear up and be blustery. And at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, look for cloudy skies. Temperature of 35. Frank?
Thank you, Ron. The season's mild winter has kept the fuel bills down, but not Baltimore's Weatherization program. Designed to help poor people, the program has attracted 1,300 Baltimoreans to weatherization workshops, like the one shown here, held today at East 25th Street. All those attending will eventually have their homes and apartments weatherized by the Urban Services Agency. As would be expected, there is a long waiting list.
Okay, what you can do...
And when we come back, Gil Gardner joins us with all today's sports.
How do competitive air delivery services stack up? Leading services deliver a 10-pound package coast to coast for about $43. With UPS Next Day Air, the same package costs $22.27. If the shipment doesn't have overnight urgency, UPS Second Day Air costs $12.83. UPS Next Day Air and Second Day Air.
From the service American business depends on.
Any way you stack it, UPS saves you money from the ground up.
Exercise classes for men only are being offered at Park School on Tuesday evenings from 7 till 8:30. Phone 825-2351 for information.
When you read Time each week, you know more. You understand.
Time flies and you are there. Time cries and lets you care. You understand the world we share. Yes, time brings you closer to living. Time puts events in sharp review. Time brings it all right home to you. Time, you understand what it all means to you.
Each week, Time magazine takes you beyond the news to help you make sense of it all. So read Time and understand.
Throughout your world, throughout your land, time puts it all right in your hand. Read Time and understand.
Well, as we mentioned earlier in the program, the entire Channel 13 news department and station, other staff members, all those sports fans out there were shocked by the sudden death this evening of our sports editor, Randy Blair. And the reality of it all, Gail, I don't think has really set in yet, because it's almost like we're waiting for Randy to come Monday. And I don't know. It's been words can't describe it.
I feel for myself that my heart is in my throat, and it's very difficult, obviously, for any of us to be here, and certainly for those of us like myself who lived with him day in and day out and worked with him and had the pleasure of knowing him. His friends were with him tonight, when it happened, Frank. And I wish you'd pull out so I could talk to Frank a little bit. His friends were with him when it happened tonight. And in fact, one of our photographers tried to administer CPR to help him. He was at a basketball game and
playing in
a benefit game and collapsed. And one of our photographers tried to help him. Did the best that he could, and the ambulance came and the paramedics came and worked their hearts out to save him, needless to say. But he had had a major cardiac arrest, and they could not bring him back.
And so young, I think 32. I might be mistaken there because we're not really sure, but I think Randy was 32, 31, 32, or 33, but whatever. It's still too young.
Oh, it's any age is too young, but when something like this happens that is so unexpected, when someone isn't ill, it is just, I mean, everyone is walking around here in shock, as I am sure most of you are at home who, you know, the instant that you heard it, it just sets your heart pounding, and I have been sitting that way myself for the last 2 hours, and I don't know what to say, except my heart goes out to his family and to his wife and lovely little child, Billy. It's just a very, very sad thing, and you know, who knows why these things happen, but they happen. Unfortunately, it happened to someone that we know and cared about and loved dearly, and it's very, very sad.
Sure is.
I have the unpleasant task for me, obviously, of proceeding here with the sportscast tonight, and so I will do that as best that I can. At Cole Fieldhouse, Maryland was beaten by 4th-ranked Virginia. The score was 83-62. It was a game that I did not watch, as you might imagine. The Terps apparently trailed at the half, 33, and never really got into striking range again. Virginia over Maryland, 83-62. Other scores tonight. We'll take a look at that scoreboard. Ohio State leads Indiana at the half in that one. Alabama beat Kentucky. That final now 74-67. St. John's 76, Georgetown 67. Iowa over Michigan 79-72. North Carolina beat Syracuse 87-64. Louisville over Florida State 96-69. Delaware 54, Navy 52. Towson 55, Bucknell 54. It was Lehigh over Loyola 60-46. I'm going to tell you about the playoff games, and I would ask that we not use the tapes that we had planned to use here. The opening round of the NFL playoffs began today with 4 games that weren't very close. It's been 10 years since the fans down the road at RFK Stadium got to see a playoff game at home, and they were not disappointed today as the Redskins turned a number of Lions mistakes into lucrative scoring plays. Combination of Joe Theismann to Alvin Garrett connected for 3 touchdown passes as the Skins rolled over the Lions. That score 31-7. In the other NFC matchup this afternoon, it was really like old times in Green Bay, making their first playoff appearance since 1972. Lynn Dickey tossed 4 touchdown passes as the Packers bombed the St. Louis Cards. That score was 41-16. 2 AFC playoff games also played this afternoon in Los Angeles. Jim Plunkett passed for 386 yards as the Raiders beat the Browns 27-10. Marcus Allen had 2 touchdowns in that game. And in Miami, the Dolphins had a pretty easy time with the Patriots, beating them 28-13. And David Woodley had a pretty nice game. And those were the playoff games this afternoon. And the Skipjacks in Moncton, New Brunswick tonight ended their 2-game losing streak by beating the Moncton Alpines. That score was 6-2.
Obviously, Gail, and I'm sure the audience out there would know that because this happened so suddenly to Randy this evening, we have no idea as to what funeral arrangements are going to be made, but as soon as we learn what they will be, we'll be passing them on to you. Again, it was a real shock for all of us, the untimely death of our sports director, Randy Blair, who died